Today on SmackDown Cooking, we're going to be making the Brooklyn Brawlers Artichoke Chicken and the Bulldogs Green Beans with Garlic. We're going to go ahead and start with the Brooklyn Brawlers Artichoke Chicken. This recipe requires us to put it in the oven, so we're going to go ahead and do this first. All we need to make the Brooklyn Brawlers Artichoke Chicken is 4 chicken breasts, 1 onion, some garlic salt, 16 ounces of artichoke hearts, and half a cup of white wine. Now this dish calls for a white wine. I've gone ahead and chosen a Chardonnay because of the oaky, buttery taste that it offers. You can choose any type of white wine that you prefer. Now the Brooklyn Brawlers Artichoke Chicken calls us to cut our chicken into strips. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now the recipe says to season all the chicken with garlic salt. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Now that should be good. We'll put this back in our bowl. Now I forgot to mention that you're going to need a little bit of flour and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Now we're going to coat our chicken in the flour. So I'm just going to sprinkle it down right here. And then I'm going to roll our chicken and coat it in the flour. This recipe calls for 16 ounces of artichoke hearts. I'm going to go ahead and chop up these artichoke hearts. Not too much, just so that they mix a little better in our food. Now we'll go ahead and take care of this onion. The recipe calls for 1 onion chopped. Doesn't say how to chop it, how fine, so I guess you can leave that up to your own discretion. Now if you haven't seen that before, I use the edge of the knife to peel the onion. That way I don't have to dig in there with my nail and get the smell of the onion all over me. Now I'm just going to cut these rings in half. Now the recipe tells us to serve our artichoke chicken with a side of rice. If you want, you can go ahead and buy one of these Uncle Ben ready-made rice. They're not bad, and if you're afraid of making rice, just go ahead and buy one of these. Now I'm going to show you how to make rice using a rice cooker. Now for a perfect rice, you want a 2-to-1 ratio. Now that's 1 part rice to 2 parts water. So I have half a cup of rice here and 1 cup of water. You'll give this a little mix. And then just set it, and your rice will be done in about 10 to 15 minutes. So our recipe calls for us to cook our chicken on the stove top and then move it into the oven. So I brought out my Le Creuset pot to do this with. Now the first thing we're going to do is heat up a little bit of our oil. Now because we have so much chicken, we're going to do this in sections instead of putting everything in there at once. You're going to add in the artichoke. And then the white wine. Then you're going to add your chicken in and cook it on all sides. You're going to cook this on medium-low heat because you just want to brown the chicken a little bit, and then we're going to finish the cooking off in the oven. Now after about 10 minutes or so, we're going to go ahead and move this into our La Crusade pot. Now you're going to want to repeat the process and cook the rest of the chicken. You're going to want to save a little bit of the olive oil and white wine to put into the La Crusade pot before it goes into the oven. Now, we're going to pour in the onions that we cut earlier and the rest of our chicken. Then you're going to want to add in the rest of the olive oil and the rest of that white wine. Give it a little stir. And then we're going to put this in the oven at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. We're going to check on it every 10 minutes or so, give it a little stir and see how it's doing. And then it's all done.
You may be wondering why I've been wearing a glove, and the reason is I have a cut on my thumb. So I put a band-aid on it, and I'm going to wear a glove in order to keep everything safe and clean. Now, while the Brooklyn Brawlers Artichoke Chicken is in the oven, let's go ahead and take a look at the Bulldogs green beans with garlic. So all we're going to need to make the Bulldogs green beans with garlic is 1 pound of fresh green beans, half a cup of water, salt and pepper, half a stick of butter, and garlic.
Now I'm going to go ahead and trim up these green beans. For this I'm going to use kitchen shears because it makes it really easy and quick. And there you have it. Now you're going to need 1 clove of garlic. We're going to go ahead and cut the end off and peel it. Now again, you could use the end of the knife here to kind of get the peel going, and then it'll come right off. Versus picking and digging in there with your nails. This recipe calls for us to smash our garlic. So I'm going to get another cutting board here, put it on top, give it a good press, and there we go. We have our smashed garlic. Now the first thing you're going to want to do is add in the half cup of water, as well as churn on your stove to medium-high. We're going to add a couple of pinches of salt, and then we're going to add in our green beans. Give it a little stir. Now we're going to put the lid on and let it cook for 3 to 5 minutes. Now for our butter, on medium heat, we're going to put our half stick of butter and our crushed garlic. We're just going to let that melt, and when everything's done, we're going to take out the green beans and pour our butter over everything, and we're ready to serve. Now you might be tempted to come in here and stir it all. Just give it 3 to 5 minutes and then give it a stir and see how it looks. Let it cook. Now it's been about 3 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and check on the beans. You want to cook them until all the water's gone and they're nice and soft. I'm going to leave these in for a little bit longer. Now that our beans are done, I went ahead and moved them into a serving dish. Now we're just going to take our butter mixture and pour it all over the top. Then add 1 more pinch of salt on top and a pinch of pepper. And it's ready. There it is. The Bulldogs green beans with garlic.